Good morning, all students and the faculty. Good morning, Prabhu Garu. And good morning, Vishalashi Garu and Chittibabu Garu. Today we will start with Vande Mataram and then we'll have Prarthana. Then we will continue with another very good topic, that is Darshanams. We have finished yesterday with the Upanishads. Now today we will have Darshanams for another 3 classes. So let us all stand up to sing Vande Mataram. You all can sing, without unmuting, but Chitti Baba Garu will sing for all of us on the net. Okay, Chitti Baba Garu.
Okay, thank you, sir. Vande Mataram, Vande Mataram, Sujalam Sufalam, Malaya Jasitalam, Sasya Syamalam Mataram, Vande Mataram, Suprajoshna Pulakitayamini, Pullakusumita Drumadala Sobhini, Suhasini, Sumadhura Bhashini, Sukhadam Varadam Mataram, Vande Mataram, Vande Mataram, Vande Mataram.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste. Dhanyawadaha Chitti Baba Garu.
Namaskaram, dhanyawad.
And now we'll have Prarthana, Vedic Prarthana from Dr. Vishalashi Mahadev.
Om Shuklambaradharam Vishnum Sesivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasanna Vadanam Chayet Sarva Vighnopasantaye Gananam Tva Ganapatigum Havamahe Kavim Kavinam Upamasravastamam Jeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Anashrunvannuti Sadanam Om Sri Mahaganathipataye Namaha. Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheswaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Om Prano Devi Saraswati Vaje Phirvajinevati Dhinam Avitriyavatu. Om Sri Maha Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Satyam Vada Dharmam Chara Swachaya Anma Pramadaha. Om Matrudevo Bhava, Pitrudevo Bhava, Acharya Devo Bhava, Atithi Devo Bhava. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya, Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sadasiva Samarambham Vyasa Sankara Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Punaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Dhanyawadaha Vishalashi Mahadev. Now we will have Darshanam, this next series of lectures from Dr. Prabhuji on Darshanams. So far we have finished with Upanishads. Okay, request us, Prabhu Garu to take over. You have to unmute. No problem. Can you unmute? I think he is muted. Lalitaji, Lalitaji, can you unmute him? What
Yeah,
else?
hello.
I have made him the co-host.
Okay, okay.
Can,
Now you are heard.
yeah. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Can you hear me?
we can hear you loud and clear.
Your video is not here.
Okay, okay, okay. Let it go ahead.
Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartrubhyo Ansarushibhyo Mahadbhyo Namo Gurubhya. Well, friends, we have finished a short trip.
Excuse me, Prabhu Garu. Prabhu Garu, excuse me. Your voice is getting cut.
Yes.
Your voice is
Hello.
getting
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Any internet problem or is all okay?
No, here it's okay. It may slowly improve.
Okay.
Yesterday we have finished Upanishads. Today we will be taking up for the next 3 days Darshanas. The word Darshana is having the meaning of philosophical perspective. In fact, today in Hindi, the word Darshan means philosophy. Those who speak Hindi, they understand this. Hello, can you hear me? Everybody clearly?
Okay, sir. Okay.
So Darshan in Hindi today means philosophy. So basically it's a perspective view of the universe. And because Vedas are vast and infinite, Anantahi Veda. So in the vast repository of knowledge of the Vedas and that Vedic model at that time, not like today. So the entire Vedic ocean of knowledge could be perceived in particular perspectives. So each perspective is one darshana. Like a physical perspective is Vaiseshika. I wrote a book called The Physics of Vaiseshika. It is published by Venkateswara Vedic University at Tirupati, at the down Tirupati. So another perspective, the psychological perspective or the mind perspective is yoga, yoga darshana. And another perspective is a logical perspective is nyaya darshana. And like this, and the karma perspective of which the Jnanakanda got separated and became the Vedanta Darshana or Uttaramimamsa, Purvamimamsa and Uttaramimamsa. So we have the very first of all darshanas in historical sequence was Sankhya. So if you take in sequence, Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya, Vaiseshika, Mimamsa, Vedanta. So this is the sequence given. And the great rishis associated with each one of these darshanas. Sankhya originator, Sankhya Sutras, Sutrakara is Kapila Muni. You know Kapila Muni? Right, you all know Kapila Muni. The Sagara's sons dug up earth, and that's how Sagarang came. Finally, they went to Kapila Muni. So Kapila Muni is a close friend of our Gautam Mukhopadhyay because he is in Calcutta. So Kapila Muni Ashram is there at Calcutta, Diamond Harbour. He and I visited there. That's where Ganga Sagar Sangamam is there. So Ganga came all the way from top of Gangotri Gaumukh Glacier to the ocean at Kolkata where Kapila Muni was there. So Kapila Muni was the founder of Sankhya, which is the first of all 6 darshanas. So Those who live in Calcutta have the advantage of going and seeing that place, or those who visit also. Of course, Kapila Muni is not available today, but he was available long back. So Kapila Muni was teaching Sankhya Darshana first to his own mother. Yesterday, our lady doctor was raising the importance of female mothers and others. So let me assure you that females are given the highest importance. There is no doubt about it. And Kapila Muni taught, or after having discovered or having come out with the philosophical framework. Each darshana is a philosophical framework. He taught it to his own mother. Each framework is independent of the other. That is a very important point to note. Though there are some interoperability conditions, like in software systems, we have many software systems, and some interoperability will be available. So some interoperability links are available between these 6 darshanas, but on the whole, they become complete by being complementary to each other. They are not opposing each other. It is not like different political parties fighting with each other. It's not like that. And it is not even like different religious groups like the Dvaita, Advaita, Visishtadvaita, sometimes fighting all. It's not even like that. These are independent darshanas, but they have certain amount of interconnections, interoperabilities, so that they make complementary to each other. So the totality is the total knowledge. Is this point clear to all of you? So now, being independent, that means they are developed by different rishis at different times. Of course, it's not that the only book is that. Like Patanjali Yoga Darshana is Patanjali Yoga Sutras, does not mean that Patanjali Yoga Sutras is the only text available in Yoga Shastra or Yoga Darshana. There are many other texts. Similarly, in Vaiseshika, similarly in Nyaya, and similarly in Sankhya. Sankhya Sutras propounded by Kapila Muni were the very first of all darshanas, and he is the most ancient. And Kapila Muni is not an ordinary person. He is an avatar of Narayana Vishnu. As much as Vyasa Bhagavan here is an avatar of Vishnu. Among the 24 avatars, apart from 10 avatars, we have totally 24, which 10 are included in them. Matsya Kurma Varahasya Narasimhasya Vamana Ramo Ramasya Krishnasya Buddha Kalkirevacha. These are the main 10. But actually there are 24. In Srimad Bhagavatam, the 24 list is given. So in that 24 list, our Vyasa Bhagavan appears as one of the avatars. Much later to Kapila Muni. Kapila Muni is much earlier to Vyasa Bhagavan and others, or Krishna, Rama, all these people. Because the ocean itself got created by the sons of Sagara, 64,000 of them. That's why it is called Sagaram. And one of the sons of Sagara was dismissed out of India, and his name is Asamanjas. And he was one of the earliest emperors of Egypt. So now this Kapila Muni, he gave the Sankhya perspective. Sankhya means number. Sankhya means out of number, derived out of a number scheme. So he has defined some 24 entities in nature. The Panchabhutas, the Panchendriyas, and so on. Panchatanmatras and so on. Buddhi, Manasu, Ankara. Total 19 plus 4, 24. He has identified. That's why it is known as Sankhya Darshana. So, the Sankhya Darshana is the philosophical framework for Yoga Darshana as a basis. Yoga Darshana goes beyond Sankhya Darshana. Because in Sankhya Darshana, there is no Ishvara, only Prakriti and Purusha are there. Whereas in Yoga Darshana, Ishvara is also existing. Though it is also called Yoga Darshana, it is also known as Seshwara Sankhya. That means Sa Ishvara along with Ishvara. So Sankhya and Yoga go together, and because they are related to each other, Sankhya is the theoretical framework, Prakriti Purusha framework for Yoga Darshana. And then Nyaya and Vaiseshika go together. As many of you know, there is no physics without mathematics. Am I right? So mathematics is nothing but logic. So Nyaya Darshana is logic, actual logic. And Gautam, I'm very happy that our friend Gautam Mukherjee has kept his name, but don't think that he himself wrote the Nyaya Darshana. So Gautam Rishi, who belonged to Bihar originally and stayed in Andhra, in the banks of Godavari. That's why Godavari is known as Gautami. There's a train called Gautami Express today. But most of the people don't know what is the connection between Gautama and mathematics, logic, and computer science. Because computer science is based on logic, mathematics is based on logic, and logic is originally propounded by Gautam Rishi. Most of you don't know this. I know that you don't. So that Nyaya Darshan, Nyaya means logic. It is the basis for physics, which is Vaiseshika Darshana by Kanada. Kanada wrote the Vaiseshika Sutras. Of course, as I said, the word Darshana is a total perspective. The Sutras are the framework created by the Sutrakara, the author of those sutras, in a summarized form, in a formulation form for the entire Darshana, which is very big, vast subject. So before and after the Sutrakaras, lot of subject is there. Like for example, in the case of Vedanta Darshana, Vyasa Bhagavan has written Badarayana. His original name is Badarayana because he is coming from Badari. Badari Ashrama is the place where he lived, our Badrinath. So he wrote the Brahma Sutras, only summarizing the Vedanta content in the Upanishads, of which you are already familiar. So it is not that Vyasa Badarayana originated Vedanta Darshana. He summarized and wrote Brahma Sutras. And then, of course, he also wrote Bhagavad Gita, to which Adi Shankaracharya here has written commentaries. So it is normally said that Vyasa Bhagavan is the avatar of Vishnu or Narayana, and Adi Shankaracharya is an avatar of Shiva. So Shiva and Vishnu always complement each other. They support each other in the entire history, in all Puranas. So that supporting each other process, whatever Vishnu's avatara Vyasa Bhagavan has written, the same thing was extended into the world by the commentaries of Adi Shankaracharya, who is the avatar of Shiva. So in the avatars of Vishnu, Kapila Muni is first and Vyasa is much later. But in the Darshana sequence, Vedanta Darshana at the end by Vyasa is the work of last in the temporal sequence, and the Sankhya Darshana is the first by Kapila. Patanjali, now Yoga Darshana of Patanjali is the second. So on Patanjali there are a lot of controversies and confusions. Some people say there is only one Patanjali, and some people say there are two Patanjalis. Because anybody can keep the name Patanjali. So why they are saying two Patanjalis? Because there is one Vyasa Bhashyam to Patanjali Yoga Sutras. And we still don't know whether it is the same Vyasa or another Vyasa. Because Vyasa also so many people keep name. One of my friends' name is Vyasa, even today. So according to some people, one Patanjali who wrote the commentary to Panini's grammar rules Ashtadhyayi, that is relatively recent. Panini lived around 7th century BC. In Pakistan, Takshashila University area. I mean, Panini, I'm talking. Of course, some people say Panini was born in Kashmir, nearby there. So, whether he was born in Kashmir or he was born in northwest frontier in Balochistan, we don't know. But he worked as a professor and the head of department and research everything of Vyakarana in Takshashila University. Takshashila University was established by Bharata, Rama's brother, and it continued since then. So now Taxila, it is called Taxila, it is there in Pakistan. So Patanjali, one Patanjali wrote a commentary to Panini's grammar, Ashtadhyayi, and that is called Patanjali Mahabhashya. So how can this person be as ancient as Yoga Darshana Patanjali immediately next to Kapila Muni, and to whose Patanjali Yoga Sutras there is one Vyasa Bhashya. If this Vyasa wrote that Bhashya, Bhashya means commentary, then obviously there have to be two different Patanjalis. Because that Patanjali is before Vyasa and after Kapil. Anyway, on the whole, we can say Sankhya Darshana, Sankhya Sutras are by Kapila Muni. Yoga Darshana, Yoga Sutras are by Patanjali, maybe the first Patanjali one. And Nyaya Darshana, there's no issue like this confusion about Gautama. There's only one Gautama other than our own Gautama Mukherjee. So Gautama Rishi is only one. He wrote the Nyaya Darshana, Nyaya Sutras. And then Kanada wrote Vaiseshika Sutras. The name Kanada is also very funny. It means he who eats particles. Which particles? Subatomic particles. Kana means particle. Why does he eat particles? He is not having any food. That is his food, because physics is his food. Particle physics, atomic physics, that is his food. That's why he is known as Kanada by title. Similarly, Vyasa is not his name, his title. And after that, we have the Mimamsa Darshana by Jaimini. You know who is Jaimini? Jaimini is a disciple of Vyasa. So, Paila, Vaishampayana, Jaimini. So, and one more Sumanta. Four of them got four Vedas after editing into four parts by Vyasa. So, Jaimini wrote the Mimamsa Sutras, which is the Karmakanda summarization, the philosophical framework behind the Karmakanda of the Vedas. And next is Vedanta Darshana, which is the summarized philosophical framework of the Jnanakanda of the Vedas, which we have studied yesterday. 3 days we have swam, we jumped into the ocean of Ganga, Upanishad Ganga, and we were trying to swim, and we came out luckily without getting lost. So this Vedanta Darshana is also known as Uttara Mimamsa because it is second part of Mimamsa. Purva Mimamsa is the Mimamsa Darshana, which is Jaimini Sutras. So today I will be giving an overview of all these darshanas. And tomorrow and after, I mean Monday and Tuesday, we have 2 days. One day I will go deep into my favorite darshana, which is Yoga Darshana, which we will be covering in the 3rd month in depth. And one day we will go deep into Vaiseshika Darshana, on which I wrote a book. I spent 20 years writing a book on Vaiseshika Darshana, the physics. So what happens normally, there are great scholars in our universities and our colleges who know Sanskrit and who have studied all these darshanas and who have been giving a lot of lectures and who have got many awards. Mahopadhyaya, Gangesha, so on and so forth. So many are there, hundreds and hundreds. Even today they are there. They were there in the past. But unfortunately, they don't have the understanding of science. As a result, even though it is very clear in texts like Vaiseshika Darshana, how the physical phenomena like gravitation, laws of motion, heat, electricity, or evaporation, and etc., atomic theory, all these are given there. These scholars Sanskrit scholars, philosophy scholars, they are not able to understand because they don't know physics, which is the subject of them. Similarly, I'm giving an example. I'm not criticizing anybody. Suppose Ayurveda texts are there. Charaka Samhita, Sushruta Samhita is a surgery text, originator of surgery. Suppose you and I read it, ordinary people. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not a medical surgeon. If I read it, what is my understanding of it? It will be very minimal. At the same time, if a medical doctor reads it, a modern surgeon reads it, like we have this lady in our group who is a medical professional. If, as yesterday we discussed, if she wants to read it, she will understand, let us say, 80% or 70%, whereas I will understand only 5% or 10%. In the same way, all our honorable scholars, because they don't understand physics, they don't understand mathematics, they don't understand logic, their understanding of the Vaiseshika Darshana, I met some of them, I discussed with them, they are not able to understand even 1/10 of the physics involved in Vaiseshika Darshana. Similarly, in Nyaya Darshana, the logic, some of them understand, some of them don't understand. And another thing that has happened is they merged both Nyaya and Vaiseshika as if they are one. That is another big tragedy that has happened again by the Bengali logicians, because who were dominating over physics. So these kind of things have happened. In the case of Sankhya and Yoga, Sankhya is more like a very generic framework. I'll explain it today. So let us start discussing Sankhya, which is atheistic in its essence. There is no God there. There is no Ishvara. Ishvara comes into the picture only in Yoga Darshana and beyond. So the point I'm trying to make is, it is very essential that people who know that particular subject, like medical doctors can understand Ayurveda, physicists can understand physics, or engineers also study physics, we are all physicists. Mathematicians and logicians, they will understand Nyaya Darshana. Psychologists will understand Yoga Darshana much, much, much better than all others. I'm not saying others don't understand or should not read. They can understand, but to a limited extent. And same logic will apply to other subjects, metallurgy texts. A metallurgist will understand better than anybody else. So we have more than 20,000 Shastra texts. Can you believe? Because you see, until English came, only Sanskrit was there. English came and became official language only in 1817. The British entered India in 1740 and left in 1947. And around 1817, they have issued an order to prohibit, ban all knowledge, transactions, education system in Sanskrit, Telugu, Hindi, Marathi, Gujarati, all languages. Only English is accepted. So till then, from the entire history, right from the Vedas till 1817, every book was written in Sanskrit only. Whether it is a medical text, or whether it is a physics text, or whether it is a yoga text, or whether it is a philosophy text, or a karmakanda religious ritual text, everything was written in Sanskrit. Not only in Indian subcontinent, of course, you have to consider the greater India, not today's India. Today's India is different from Pakistan, different from Sri Lanka, different from Burma. It's not like that. If you go back to British period itself, British India itself was greater India. Burma included, Afghanistan included, Sri Lanka included. And if you go even more, Chola time, Chola Empire, the entire Southeast Asia was India. So if you go back in time to the original Sagara Chakravarti and Harishchandra and the Suryavamsa Emperor, the whole globe was India. So today we have a small piece called India, but all others were also India previously. Afghanistan was Gandhara, from where Gandhari was born, from where all these great, some of the great rishis also came. So now coming back to Kapila Muni. So the Sankhya Darshana, it is aiming at giving a model of the universe. Now common sense says man, Purusha, I, exist on one side. and Prakriti, nature, exists on the other side, universe. Am I right? This is a very simple model. It is common sense to realize that Prakriti and Purusha comprise this universe. Because Prakriti means nature, and Purusha is man or I, the observer. Common sense model. So, even more fundamental issue is, why do we require all these models? Why do we require all these darshanas? Why do we require philosophical discourses, models, all these things? Why at all? What is the basic requirement? Can we live without them? We have been living all these days. Today only we started thinking about it. So Kapila Muni knew all this very well. So he starts with the basic motivation, the reason why we need to understand a model. Trividha dukkha nivrittir atyanta purushartha. First sentence, first sutra of Kapila Muni. The greatest human achievement or human effort, purushartha, is to transcend, overcome, resolve, and dissolve three types of sorrows, miseries, dukkhas. You know what Lord Buddha found out after all his meditations of 6 years? Sarvam dukkham dukkham. Is there anybody here in the audience who can say he has no problem of any kind? Narendra Modi has no problem of any kind. Can you bring one person who has no problem of any kind? Everybody has problems. So, what kind of problems we are having? We have hundreds of problems, not one. We have water problem, we have air problem, air pollution problem, we have job problem, we have money problem. When I was in Delhi, I had a servant who was having only one problem, that is money problem. So she used to ask me what to do. I told her, you have only one problem, that is your money is not sufficient for your family. Fine. But do you know the number of problems the Prime Minister has? His own life is at threat. Anytime he can be killed. And I had my own problems. Everybody has so many problems. So all these problems, dukkhas, are categorized into three types according to Kapila Muni. And also according to Vedas. That's why we have the three times Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Adidhaivika, Adhibhavtika, and Adhyatmika. All problems in this world can be summarized into three categories. Adhibhavtika, Adhidhaivika, and Adhyatmika. Adhyatmika means internal to yourself. Inside your body, inside your mind, inside yourself. So many problems, physical problems, health problems, psychological problems. You can see how many problems people have in the psychological level. And the maximum number of suicides happen only among the suicide. Because it's a psychological problem. It is not a physical, financial problem. So now, these problems originate due to so many reasons and causes. They can be originating due to other family members or due to, there are people who committed suicide without any problem coming from anybody else outside. The problem is inside only. He may be frustrated, depressed. He may be angry with himself, or he may be feeling, a lot of people commit suicides. Why do they commit suicide? They have so many problems. So all these are adhyatmika problems, internal, psychological, spiritual problems also. One lady I know, she has revolted against her Christian faith of 25 years of being Christian. Then because she had a serious problem. She studied Christianity and she was studying a research degree. She got a research degree in America, in Atlanta. Then she was told in that degree, in one of those courses, that Jesus was never a real person. He never existed. And she was so much in love with Jesus and so much dedicated to Jesus and all that. When she came to know that it was a lie, it was a myth, it was a forgery, fake, then she didn't know what to do. She just left Christianity and embraced back Hinduism in Gharvapasi. After that, she is now helping thousands of people to come back from Christianity to Gharvapasi, to Hinduism. Because Hinduism or Sanaatana Dharma, such lies don't exist. Every personality is historical, his time of birth, place of birth is known to the accuracy of a second and a centimeter, and there is no dispute or controversy on it. But in the case of Jesus, or even in case of Moses, or in case of Abraham, they themselves are telling that they never existed. We are not telling. And now somebody is saying that even that applies to Prophet Muhammad also. We don't know. So now psychological problems, spiritual problems, logical problems are adhyatmika. Now what is adidaivika problems? Adidaivika is weather. There is a cyclone, there is a drought, and there is a flood, and every day when you see the news, something or other will be there somewhere or the other on the globe. Daiva means deva, the devatas, water, earth, air, all these are the environmental forces. They are called devatas. So any problem originating from them to us is called adidaivika problem. So that's why we say 3 times Shanti, because each one of these problems should be calmed down. It cannot be removed completely, but it can be reduced, calmed down. And the third is Adi Bhautika. Bhautika means physical. That includes financial. Suppose a lot of people have the problem of money. They don't have money. And then they commit suicide because they don't have money. They have poverty. They don't have food to eat. And a lot of people don't have jobs. And a lot of people have jobs but don't have a job up to his liking. And physical problems, health problems. And now to give this lecture, I traveled for 1 hour from my apartment, which is far away from here, only to reach this studio. So for that purpose, I had to wake up 1.5 hours before and get ready and travel and come here. Because if I do this lecture at my house, there are so many disturbances. So problems everywhere. I don't have to tell you what all problems you face in your life. So Kapila Muni is so smart. Thousands and thousands of years ago, he identified that there are large number of problems we are facing, and they can be categorized into 3. Trividha dukkha, nivrittihi, how to transcend, overcome, resolve them. That is atyanta purushartha, highest human achievement. What is human activities all about? What is civilization all about? Is nothing but how to overcome these dukkhas. Am I right? The entire human history, entire human civilization, whether it is scientific development or whether it is economic development, whether it is spiritual development, anything you take is aiming at overcoming these 3. Have we overcome? No. If we have overcome, then it should be heavenly abode, this earth. It's not so. So much so that people have given a mythical heaven as a carrot to attract people into Christianity or Islam, and then some of them will die for that so-called mythical heaven, which they will go if they die. Those who crashed into World Trade Center, they were strongly believing that once they crash, they will go to heaven, where everything is perfect. So this kind of mental delusions of heaven attract people into many religious extreme behavior. Now this Trividha dukkha, that is one of the dukkhas, that is adhyatmika dukkha. So Trividha dukkha nivrittiratyanta purushartha. What is your highest goal of human life? Not only your own single person, but the entire humanity should be able to overcome these dukkhas. It is such a profound, materialistic, economic, scientific, managerial statement. Am I right or not? Nobody made this statement. None of the Western philosophers made this statement. Aristotle didn't make, Plato didn't make, but Kapila Muni made. all human efforts, human achievement should be aimed at overcoming the three categories. That means all dukkhas put together, categorized into three, to be able to overcome. That's what we are trying every day. We are trying every day, every minute, trying to overcome one of the dukkhas. So morning, water will be put and you got to fill it up and whatnot. That is water problem trying to be overcome. Then go to doctor and get that is the health problem to overcome. And go to the job and earn money to overcome the financial problem. So all your human activity is nothing but overcoming dukkhas. Sarvam dukkham dukkham. So how to overcome? There are so many methods. We are all already experts in those methods. We don't have Kapila Muni need not tell us how to overcome hunger by eating food or how to overcome poverty by earning money, etc. etc. So this is the first sutra of Sankhya Darshana. You see how much it is practically relevant in life. And the last sutra of Sankhya Darshana, because I'm not going to cover Sankhya Darshana in detail, it will take many days, is Asangoyam Purusha. That's the last sutra. So in between, there are many sutras, many chapters explaining the entire Sankhya Darshana framework. So basically, he categorizes the whole universe into two parts, Prakriti and Purusha. Prakriti is nature, Purusha is the self or individual, or you can say anything. The word Purusha in ordinary sense means a ordinary male, or it's not exactly male, it is a generic man kind of human nature. That is the generic way, but it is something more than that. So what he has identified is there are two entities. One is the feeler, thinker, enjoyer, as Swami Chidananda used to say. The experiencer, the observer. Yesterday we have discussed about the observer, day before yesterday, in physics. So the observer or feeler or thinker or enjoyer, the self, I, the Jivatma or Atma by itself, not just Jiva but Atma. And the other is the nature, universe, the world of objects. In the Bhagavad Gita, which is basically a Sankhya text, it has explained very simple terms. Prakritim Purusham Cheva Vidya Anadi Ubhavapi Vikaranscha Gunans Cheva Vidhi Prakriti Sambhava. The three gunas, Sattva, Rajas, Tama, which comprise this universe, they are the opposites to each other, but the balance of the three gunas is the existing nature which you see, the universe. And Vikaras, 6 Vikaras. Prakriti has 6 changes. Vikara means change. Kara, Vikara, Akara, Prakara. So Vikara is a change, like birth is a change, growth, then strengthening, then consolidating, then weakening, then decay and death. So this Shadbhava Vikaras they are called. So Vikaranscha Gunanscha, 3 gunas, Sattva, Rajas, Tamo, Prakriti Sambhavan, they are born out of Prakriti. The entire nature is identified as having constituents which undergo the 3 changes, 6 changes. Birth to death, in between 4. Birth, death and in between 4. Total 6. Shadbhava Vikaras, they are called. There is nothing in this world which doesn't go through these 6 vikaras. So Prakriti comprises of 6 vikaras and 3 gunas, Sattva, Rajas, Tamo gunas. Vikaranscha Gunanscha Cheva Vidhi Prakriti Sambhavan Karya Karana Kartrutve Hetu Prakriti Ruchyate. All activities that happen in the universe, in nature, the karyas and their causes, karanas, because nothing happens without a cause. In Vaiseshika also he made a very profound statement, which is the common sense, what is called the Causality Principle. Without a cause, there is no effect. Karana bhava, karya bhava. That is where our scientific bedrock spirit exists in Sanaatana Dharma, which doesn't exist in other religions. Other religions want you to blindly believe something. But here it's not like that. In the entire Sanaatana Dharma, the reason why I made this course, 3 months course, is a scientific Sanaatana Dharma course, is because everything is scientific. Everything is based on a logic, cause, and the Karya Karana Sambandha. Everything that happens has a cause. Karya Karana Kartrutve Hetu Prakriti Ruchyate. And when there is a cause and an effect, there is a doer also, the owner of the cause. Kartrutva. Karya Karana Kartrutve Hetu Prakriti Ruchyate. Nature itself is having all these functionalities. It is having the Shadbhava Vikaras and having Trigunas and having this Karya Karana Kartrutva Triputi. So what is this Purusha doing? He is feeling, enjoying, thinking, experiencing, observing. That's all, nothing else. Purusha Sukhadukhanam Bhoktrutve Hetruchyate. He is a Bhokta, he is an enjoyer, feeler, thinker. Now, what is happening is this Purusha and Prakriti are getting matched. This Purusha, who is simply pure consciousness, pure intelligence, is thinking that he is Prakriti. He is thinking that I am body, I am mind, I am bank account, I am Aadhaar number. All these Prakriti identities are being assumed by the Purusha. So what is the result? Suffering, dukkha. All kinds of dukkhas originate. Adhibhautika, Adhidevika, and Adhyatmika. So what is the solution? Just get separated. You are actually separate. Asangoyam Purushaha. You are merged. You become separate. Finish. Asangaha. Unattached. Then you are free from all dukkhas. The simple solution that is given by Sankhya Darshana of Kapila. A lot of people know the word Kapila or Kapil Dev is there, and they don't know who is Kapila and what he did. He has done such a profound work, which became the foundation basis for all other philosophical developments after that. Yoga Darshana and all other Darshanas. So, the Purusha or the self and Prakriti on the other side, if they are independent, then there is no problem, problem is gone. So, the same phenomenon is being explained in Yoga Darshana in a different way. Yogas Chitta Vritti Nirodhaha. Of course, we'll be covering in detail tomorrow. I'll just touch and go to next. Today, only overview of all the 6 darshanas. So, in Yoga Darshana, the definition of yoga is Yogas Chitta Vritti Nirodhaha. That means stopping the mind, mental activities. Not sleep, without sleep. So if you stop all mental activities, what will happen? Tada drashtu swarupe avasthanam. You are in your own true nature. Otherwise, what will happen? Vritti sarupya mitaratra. You are identifying yourself with the mental modifications, chitta vrittis. Name, body, designation, roles, properties, address, cars, tickets, Aadhaar numbers, all these things you are identifying. Same thing he told in Sankhya. So what is the solution? Just get separated. Stop all this. You are on your own. Tada drashtu swarupe avasthanam. So when yoga state, you are in your own true nature. Who is that true nature of the self? Now, this answer is not given by Patanjali, nor by Nyaya Darshana, nor by Vaiseshika, which are dealing with the physical world and logical world, but is given in the Vedanta Darshana. That is in the Upanishad. We have studied yesterday. Ayamatma Brahma in the Mandukya Upanishad. Ayamatma Brahma. This self is Brahman, is the supreme Ishvara Brahman. Esha Sarveshvara. So Aham Brahmasmi Tattvamasi. That is given in the last Vedanta Darshana. So all the Darshanas are that way connected. Now let us talk about Nyaya Darshana for a few minutes. I am not an expert of Nyaya Darshana. There are a lot of Bengali scholars who are experts in Nyaya Darshana logic. They lived in the area called Mayapur, which is where the ISKCON headquarters is there today. And even the Krishna Chaitanya, the founder of ISKCON, founder of the Krishna consciousness path, was born in Mayapur. I went there. The place of his birth is very spiritually vibrant, and the headquarters of ISKCON built right next to it. So he also studied logic. They are called Nyayikas. And logic has got two parts, Prachina Nyaya and Navya Nyaya. Navya Nyaya means modern logic. Modern means recent. And that so-called Navya Nyaya is very close to computer science. There are some people who have written papers and books on that. I am not one of them. I only know very little of it. And original Nyaya of Gautama Rishi is, recently I went to that area. It is very close to Nalanda in Bihar. There's a village, a town on that name. I know some people who belong there. I forgot that name. It's in past. So he was born there, but he was living in Andhra. He came to Godavari. He created Godavari. He did all kinds of miraculous things, and that's why he's adored and revered today as Gautama Rishi. Gautami is the name given to Godavari. So this Gautam Rishi, he focused only on logic, Nyaya Shastra, Nyaya Darshana. He didn't want to worry himself about Prakriti, Purusha, and Chitta, and Moksha, and all those things. So he focused only on what is proof. Finally, everything boils down to proof. So, Pramana. Proof means, the Sanskrit is called Pramana. Some people in Calcutta keep the name Pramanik. So it doesn't mean that he's a proof by himself. So what is proof and what are the different types of proof or provable statements, provable knowledge? Of course, in Yoga Darshana also Pramanas are described, but in Nyaya Darshana they are described in detail. The first Pramana or provable knowledge of epistemology. What is epistemology? Epistemology is the acquisition of knowledge. The process of acquisition of knowledge is called epistemology. So in epistemology, any knowledge acquired by you, the observer, should be valid. How do you say it is valid or not? When it is having a proof, Pramana. This kind of discussion is not there in any other religion. Of course, Buddhists also do this. Buddhism is almost like part of Sanaatana Dharma. But other Abrahamic religions, they don't believe in any logic or proof. If you ask, in fact, they'll put you in jail or kill you. That's how they are. So here, what is provable knowledge? Pramana. Pratyaksha Pramana is one. Means you are able to see. Seeing is believing, like that. See or hear or feel or touch. Experience. That is called Pratyaksha Pramana. Aksha means eye. Prati Aksha is in front of your eyes. Of course, it's a different matter that whatever you see is not real. Whatever you see need not be real. But you are seeing, therefore you say, I saw it in front of my eyes. Therefore it is true. Therefore it is a proof. Pratyaksha Pramana. So even today, almost all people believe in Pratyaksha Pramana. But how far the Pratyaksha Pramana is reliable? For example, in Pratyaksha, the moon appears of popped size for your eyes. So according to your eyes, Pratyaksha Pramana, moon is only of popped size. Then whatever you see exists or doesn't exist. Whatever you don't see doesn't exist. You cannot see air, so it doesn't exist according to your eyes. But you can feel air, so you say that, okay, air is there. You cannot see atom, therefore atom does not exist. You cannot see electrons, therefore electron does not exist. You cannot see Ishvara, Ishvara does not exist. So Pratyaksha Pramana, though it is very popular and very reliable to some extent, it is not 100% reliable. In fact, it is not even 80% reliable. You tell me how much percentage is Pratyaksha Pramana reliable. Then therefore they came out with Anumana Pramana. Inference. Now you are able to see some smoke in a faraway place. So then you will say that all right, there must be, because without fire, how the smoke will come? If it is a fake smoke, then the fire need not be there. But assuming there are no fake smokes, then fire should be there. Though you are not able to see the fire, you can see only smoke. So you perform an inference, Anumana, that fire exists. This is Anumana Pramana, inference. The entire knowledge of science is inferential. Laws of motion, gravitation, atomic theory, particle physics, quantum physics, anything you say is only inference. Till today, nobody has seen an electron. It is impossible to see. Recently, some atom pictures have come out, but not electron pictures. So inferential knowledge, Anumana Pramana, is provable proof. It is equally important, if not more important, than Pratyaksha Pramana. Then the third category of Pramana is Shabda Pramana or Agama. That is, you see, there are many topics which you can neither observe nor infer. Like, for example, God exists or not. Ishvara. You can neither see nor you can infer, because it is something beyond both. And similarly, what happens after death? Nachiketa asks this question to Yama in Kathopanishad. Because you cannot see, you cannot infer. And then whatever is told to you by a referential source, which is called Apta, a reliable, honest, and whom you can believe, you take it as Shabda Pramana. Of course, it's another matter that if the Pratyaksha goes against Shabda Pramana, whether you will accept Shabda Pramana or Pratyaksha Pramana for the same statement, or if Pratyaksha goes against Anumana, whether you accept Anumana or Pratyaksha, like moon is of pauper size, we cannot accept, though it is Pratyaksha Pramana, because we know by science that moon is a vast body. It has got millions of yards or feet or whatever meters. Only we know it by inference. So similarly, Shabda Pramana also, there are certain things which you can neither approach through Pratyaksha Pramana nor through Anumana Pramana. You have to accept as Shabda Pramana. Agama it is called. It has come. That's all. Nigama and Agama. Nigama is Veda, Agama is that which has come. So apart from this, there are other pramanas like Upamana, example. So in machine learning, what happens? You will train the algorithm with certain data. Then next time the data comes, the algorithm itself will recognize that pattern. In physics experiments, suppose you are doing an experiment on Ohm's law, you will be measuring the resistance changing with voltage and current. By changing the voltage and current by yourself, you measure the resistance and draw the points on the graph. Then you will find a linear relationship. That is called learning. Machine learning also does the same. So artificial intelligence, which is based on machine learning, is also built on inference, and the inference will be changing every time the new data comes. So Pratyaksha, Anumana, Agama, Pramanani, as Patanjali defined. Of course, Upamana, in the case of machine learning, Upamana is also being used. There will be training of the algorithm. Then there will be testing and operation after that. And there are many other Pramanas which are very deep and subtle, given by Gautama in his Nyaya Darshana. In the Navya Nyaya, till now we have discussed Prachina Nyaya. In Navya Nyaya, they came out with the concept of delimiter, concept of jati, that is class, upajati, and so many advanced notions, which are very much in computer science today. You know, we have 3 hierarchies in computer science. Yesterday, the other day also I was telling. The type hierarchies, object hierarchies, like a person can be male or female, males can be children or adults, and children can be school children or primary school children, or adults can be students or employees, and if students, engineering students, medical students, like this tree. The hierarchy is called type hierarchy in computer science. It is called generalization and specialization. If we go bottom up, it will be generalization. If you come top down, it will be specialization. Third aggregation is aggregation. Like a country is made up of states, which are made up of districts, which are made up of taluks, which are made up of blocks, and which are made up of villages. And villages made up of land parcels and human beings. So actually, none of these exist. Country doesn't exist. State doesn't exist. District doesn't exist. Taluka doesn't exist. Village doesn't exist. Finally, what exists is only land parcel and human beings. So these are the object instances. They aggregate themselves into finally a country. So this aggregation hierarchy, this I've dealt with this in my books on object-oriented database systems. They are used in object-oriented programming, C++, Java, everywhere they are used. And these are all discussed much earlier to computer science in Navanyaya. Jati, Upajati. In fact, Patanjali himself discusses. What is Gotva? Cowness. Can anybody tell what is cowness? If you say cow is an animal which has 4 legs, then buffalo also has, donkey also has. If you say cow is an animal which has 2 horns and 1 tail, and buffalo also has, donkey also has, and horse also has. So finally, whatever you say will be applicable to so many others. So finally, there is only one characteristic of cow which others don't have. That is this Gangadol we call in Telugu, Sasna, the hanging neck. Only cow has, and buffalo doesn't have, and donkey doesn't have, and horse. So if you say cow is an animal which has 4 legs and which 1 tail and 2 horns and all the other things plus this, then it becomes the jati, class of cows. Then upajati, black cows, white cows, and so on and so forth. So this kind of abstract discussions have happened in Nyaya Darshana as well as in Vyakarana by Patanjali. We use Nyaya in a big way. And Nyaya was applied to Vaiseshika Darshana, which I will cover in detail tomorrow, where the logic is applied to physical observations. The dravyas, the dravya guna categorization is given. The dravyas are Prithvi, Apa, Tejo, Vayu, Akasha, Dik, Kala, Mana, Atma, iti dravyani. Liquid, gas, energy, all these are defined as the substances, physical substances in Vaiseshika, which is pure physics. And now we go into the Mimamsa and Vedanta overview. Now, as I told you 3 days back, the first day of my lectures on Upanishads, the entire Vedas are comprising of 2 parts, the Karma Kanda and the Jnana Kanda. So in the Karma Kanda, various type of yagas and yajnas are elaborated, the procedures, right from the simplest Agnihotra done once in morning and once in evening at every home, performing Havan, the procedure to do it and materials and the elaborate descriptions. Because some of these yajnas are very complex. They cost 100 crores. Some of them cost 100 crores, some of them cost 10 crores. So they require elaborate arrangements. All these are given in the Karma Kanda. Apart from the yajnas and yagas, we have 3 types of karma. Shrauta karma is yajnas and yagas, and smarta karma is there, which is not from the Veda but later origin, like Chandi Yagam, Rudra Yagam, Vishnu Yagam, Sudarshana Homam. All these are smarta karmas. They are not Shrauta because they are not from the Veda. Shruti means Veda. They are coming from later texts, Smritis. That's why they are called smarta. Then we also have the karma which is Pauranika karma. The ritual described in Puranas like Satyanarayana Katha. It is not there in Smarta or in Shrauta karma. It is there in Puranas. So in fact, the Satyanarayana Katha starts with a description of Naimisaranya and then it explains what all happened. So similarly, Lakshmi Vratam, Varalakshmi Vratam, all these Pauranika karmas without any fire. So these three types of Karmakanda is there. And Mimamsa Sutras were written by Jaimini at a time when Pauranika karma may not have existed, because the Puranas may not have existed in full swing. So he obviously referred only to Shrauta karma. So he has elaborately described the logic, the theory, the framework, the philosophy of Karma Kanda. But I will only quote one sutra from Mimamsa Sutras, Chodana Lakshano Dharmaha. The definition of Dharma given by Jaimini is that Dharma is that power or force which drives everything. I want to make very important comment on Dharma. In all the Darshanas, Dharma is being addressed, particularly in Mimamsa Darshana and Vaiseshika Darshana. In Vaiseshika, Dharma is defined as Yato Abhyudaya Nisraya Siddhi Sadharma. Dharma is that which provides you success in material progress as well as spiritual progress. So, Chodana Lakshano Dharma is the definition given by Jaimini in Mimamsa Sutras. And all the Darshanas, they aim at moksha, freedom. Freedom from what? Freedom from problems. So it's very practical. But people don't understand. They think moksha means something which are not required for us. So freedom from all problems. So they are addressing different dimensions, different perspectives of the entire life and universe and the knowledge in the Vedas to solve the problems, to get freedom. And in that context, the Vedanta Darshana comes into being in a very dominant, visible manner, because the Karma Kanda has its own limitations. Adi Shankaracharya and his gurus, and including Vyasa, they have identified that any amount of Karma Kanda you perform, you may perform 1000 yajnas, then you become Indra, fine, but nothing more than that. You cannot get liberated. Moksha will not be there. So, to get moksha, you need jnana. Jnana mukti. So, how to get jnana? Jnana means not ordinary mathematics, physics, chemistry kind of jnana. It is spiritual jnana, transcendental knowledge or wisdom. We don't have English words equivalent. So, to get that jnana, what you require? That is a different thing other than karma. Sarvam karma kilam pardha jnane parisamapyate. Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita that all karmas will end in jnana. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadeshyanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. The jnanis will give you jnana if you become their disciple and if you make them pleased by your seva to them. Pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadeshyanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. The tattvadarshi, a person who has seen the highest truth, he will give you jnana if he is pleased by you and if you are qualified. Not simply pleasing, but you should be qualified. And what are those qualifications? Sadhana chatushtaya sampatti. There are 4 requirements. First is shamadamadi shatka sampatti. Shama, dama, titiksha, uparati. And second is ihamutra phalabhoga virakti. You should be giving up all desires, either in this world or in heavens. Third is nitya nitya vastu vivekam. You should be able to distinguish between what is permanent and what is not permanent. And fourth is mumuksha. And you should be deadly trying for moksha, freedom. If you have all these 4 characteristics, and if you perform the seva of the Guru, Shrotriyam Brahmanishtham, then he will give you the knowledge. Upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. And Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. Only with Shraddha you can get jnana. Samyatendreya. Jnanam labdhva param shantim achirenati. Having acquired jnana, you will get the highest transcendental peace, which is moksha. So that as the goal, the Vedanta Darshana has come out. So the Upanishads, whatever we discussed and whatever we have not discussed, 108 Upanishads, they have been summarized, particularly the 10 Upanishads or 11 Upanishads, which are principal, they are called principal or prominent. They have been summarized in the Brahma Sutras by the Badarayana Vyasa who wrote, and commentary given by Adi Shankaracharya, also commented on this 10-11 principal Upanishads. Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan has wrote a thick book, the Principal Upanishads, in English. Aurobindo also wrote, so everybody wrote on Upanishads. I didn't write, but I teach. Then next become Bhagavad Gita, commentary on that. So all the three together will become Prasthanatrayam. We have discussed. So understanding of that Vedanta Darshana will lead to moksha. So I have given you a small glimpse, very little small glimpse into all the 6 darshanas. I want to stop here and invite your queries and questions and discussion.
Thank you, Prabhu Garu. Now we'll have some interaction with our audience, our students of this course. Those who want to interact with Prabhu Garu, raise your hands. Anybody, some problem? Anybody wants to write on the chat also? You are welcome. Okay. Yeah, Gautamji.
Sir, Namaste, sir. I wrote in that comment sometimes back that there is a need to bridge the gap between the Vedic science and the modern science. So people should know what is there in the Vedas, and what is the meaning of the corresponding interconnection between that knowledge with today's modern knowledge and so on. And there is actually West Bengal. There is a very bad proverb is going on. That is actually the scientist Meghnad Saha has told it. It's called Bede Achi. So actually, when nuclear reactions or this nuclear bomb or fission and fusion were discovered, somebody in the village and Meghnad Saha was describing that to villagers. Some villagers told that it is Bede Achi, means it is in the Vedas. So Meghnad Saha then started mimicry on that, and very bad comment on about having everything in the Veda and so on. So so we have to know what is there really and how it is given in what language. So that kind of bridging of the gap is required, sir.
Yes, you are very correct. The Brahmastra given in the Mahabharata is very similar to atom bomb. What Meghnad Shah kind of people or many of the communist intellectuals in West Bengal today don't understand is that the modern science is only 150 years old. So before this modern science came, the human civilization existed for huge period of 100,000 years. So during that period, nothing was known, and only in 150 years, when the apple fell on the head of Newton, gravitation was known. Like this to think is the greatest of foolishness.
Yes.
Because without knowledge of gravitation, buildings cannot be constructed. And if you think that the entire Mahabharata is a lie, or Valmiki told lie is a cheat or liar, Vyasa is also a liar. Like that, if you want to think, then you have to dismiss the entire human history and whatever achievements they have had previous. So this kind of attitude a lot of people have. I know in Calcutta, explain. Pramod Kumar Mukherjee, P.K. Mukherjee, who was the head of the Department of Philosophy at Jadavpur University, he wanted me to come and give lectures and all that. He is now in Varanasi. In fact, you will be surprised. There is a organization called the Nalanda Dialogue. So they conduct every year one conclave. And once they conducted Nalanda itself, and they have invited me to present the book, The Physics of Vibration, because of one of the top scientists, physicists known as Shishir Roy, who is with the Jawaharlal Nehru Institute of Advanced Studies at the Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. So when I presented it, one of the organizers or the founder of that organization, he is an atheist, Jyoti Chatterjee. He was an atheist and he was not willing to accept. But when I presented the entire thing, he didn't know what to say. I criticized, and he also could not be. And he said, I will write you a letter later, but he never wrote anything till today. So my book, The Physics of Vaisheshika, proves that the physics was known and atomic physics was also known. And it was copied by Greeks and then into the West. So you can read that book. You can acquire through placing order from the Vedic University at Tirupati. And similarly, I have proved the existence of Viman Shastra. I have proved the reproduction of many materials and alloys and machines, which I will explain in my lecture on the Viman Shastra. Okay, next.
Okay, now we'll have Sandilyaji. Can you unmute yourself?
Namaskar, Dr. Prabhu Garuji.
Namaskar.
Yes. So, in beginning, you told Darshan is philosophy. Is really Darshan is philosophy?
No, in Hindi language, which you speak, the word darshan means only philosophy. Whereas in
Please.
Sanskrit, it means a perspective. It can be science also. It can be philosophy also. It can be logic also.
I have heard about our rishis and maharishis that they were drashtas who can see. But philosophy is some kind of matter you receive through mind. So how rishis, our rishis and maharishis are equal to Western philosophers, because philosophy is a Western word.
No. See, we are using English language. So when you use English language, you have to use English words. So these English words have certain constraints, certain limitations. Suppose you want to say Atma. You have to say soul or self. But it is not exact translation, it's not possible. Or if you want to say Dharma, there is no word. You have to say law, righteousness, virtue, anything you can say, but all these are partial. So when we are using English words, philosophy is a partial, it is incomplete, and no other word is better than no words exist in English language.
Yeah.
So Hindi में बोलना है तो अलग बात है. Hindi में भी इसी people are interpreting different meanings. Like Dharma in Hindi means religion, which is not true. And Darshana in Hindi means philosophy. Darshanik. So Drashta from the etymology. Drashta, Rishi is a Drashta. You are saying Drashta. Yes. So what is this Drashta? Is Darshan. So something which is derived out of Darshan is Darshanik. So in English, its equivalent is philosophy. There's an Indian Council of Philosophical Research. I sit. We have no choice. We have to use English words.
You mean philosophy is a partial
Yes.
meaning of darshan?
Yes. It is a much less partial, but similarly, every word is like that. No, English word is not adequate. Okay.
Okay, Vemuri Sugunan says or asks, what is exactly Mimamsa?
Yeah, the Mimamsa Darshana is the Mimamsa about the karma kanda, the various yagas, yajnas given in the Vedas. They are being analyzed as framework by Jaimini, as a total framework. Otherwise, simply procedures are there. So, not just procedures, but karma, that is karma Mimamsa. Karma, karma phala, karma sangha, and nishkama karma comes later. But the framework of Vedic karma kanda is Mimamsa Darshana. The word literal meaning of Mimamsa is analysis. So that is a very common meaning. But here Mimamsa Darshana of Jaimini. So those who are the experts in karma kanda, they know that.
Okay.
And Mimamsa Darshana became the origin of Vedanta Darshana. That's why it is called Uttara Mimamsa. This is Purva Mimamsa. So, transcending away from karma, higher than karma, what is it? Jnana. So, that Jnana Darshana is Vedanta Darshana. So, Karma Darshana is Mimamsa. That's why Uttara Mimamsa, Purva Mimamsa.
Okay, Narasimhamji, he writes, Darshana usually include heterodox, Charvaka, Jains, and Bauddha, with whom Shankara dealt with. So there is a remark only.
I'll answer. You have rightly used the word heterodox. I didn't want to get into heterodox, or heterodox means those who are heretical, those who revolted against Vedic Seshwara Darshana. These are theistic. The 6 Darshanas are Vedic Darshanas. Because Veda is theistic. It believes in the existence of Ishvara. So, whereas those heterodox people, they are heretic. They revolt. They don't accept Veda. And this is a Sanaatana Dharma course. We cannot accommodate the opposite camp. So we are Vedic Sanaatana Dharma followers. We cannot accept the opposite camp. But since you have raised it, let me tell you, there are 24 darshanas. Not only 3-4 which you have mentioned, Bauddha, Jaina, Charvaka, Lokayata, but there are totally 24. There is a Sarva Darshana Samanvaya, one book is written by the brother of Sanaatana. A very famous book. 24 darshanas have been addressed there, and all of them, except these 6, are dismissed in the Vedic Sanatana Dharma as invalid. And Shankaracharya not dealt with them, but defeated them and eliminated them. So, if you take, say, Charvaka, he believes only in Pratyaksha Pramana. Whatever is there, enjoy and die. Death is moksha according to him. And many of the materialist hedonists today in America or other countries, they are also like that. So obviously it is very foolish, because you have to accept rebirth, because whatever you are born today, the proof of rebirth is coming from a maternity hospital. If you go to maternity hospital, you find babies born in different circumstances. They did nothing in this life to cause that. So it is the Purva Janma cause you have to admit. So without cause, there is no effect. That is logic. That is proof. So once you accept Purva Janma, then Janma Parampara will be there, and then Moksha has to be accepted to come out of that Janma Parampara. So that's how the Moksha Darshanas, these 6 are the Moksha Darshanas. Charvaka cannot give you Moksha. Lokayata is also very similar to Charvaka. Jabali was one of the profounders of one of those. And then Buddha Darshana is based on, there are 2 Buddhisms, or 3 rather, Hinayana, Mahayana, and Vajrayana. Hinayana is practiced in Kerala, Sri Lanka. I went there. So they practice Theravada, Hinayana Buddhism, where Buddha is only a teacher. And there is no God. Of course, the Sri Lanka people adopted Hindu gods, Brahma, Vishnu, all these people they adopted. But actually in the Hinayana Buddhism, there is no God. And only Buddha is a teacher. And what he taught is Dharma only, which is okay. In fact, Buddha's father asked him, what are you teaching? He said, I am teaching Dharma. So he did Dharma Chakra Pravartana. He did 7 times. He did in Sri Lanka also. He did at Sarnath near Varanasi. So that's why we have that Dharma Chakra in center of our flag, national flag. So Dharma is promoted, yoga is promoted, but Ishvara is not accepted. And Adi Shankaracharya defeated them, not him. Adi Shankaracharya used the word Bhagavan for Buddha. Bhagavan Ityaha. Bhagavan said this, but this is against the Veda, and he proved it because he was at a period around 1400 years after Buddha. Buddha is now dated to 1900 BC, and Adi Shankaracharya roughly. So, also similar, it is atheistic, but it accepts Dharma in core essence and yoga in core essence, and accepts self alone, but not Paramatma. Every self is Paramatma. Very close to Advaita, but different again. In fact, that's why Shankara was known as Prachanna Buddha, as if he's a Buddhist in disguise. He is not, but he went to that path and again went beyond that path to prove them wrong by the nature of Maya. Indefinability of Maya defeated the definable nihilism of Buddhists. Anyway, this is a big subject. We'll take up some of it. Any other questions?
What's the difference between theology and philosophy?
Yeah, theology limits to itself to the religious concepts and framework, whereas philosophy need not be religious. It can be religious. Theology is also having certain amount of philosophy, but philosophy can be secular, can be independent of religion. Modern philosophy, Western philosophy, Eastern philosophy, so many types of philosophies are there. Many of them have nothing to do with religion, whereas theology is restricted to a religion.
Okay, and we'll have Rama Devi if she wants to talk.
Pallavi
Namaste,
also
Bhagwan.
raised her hand. Yeah.
Namaste.
Pallavi is not open. You first will take Pallavi in that case. Okay.
Yeah. Pallavi.
Can you please summarize all the 6 darshanas once again, like one line, like summary of all the 6 darshanas today, Sankhya Darshana and all the 6 darshanas जो आपने आज बताए हैं, आप उसको एक बार summarize कर देंगे?
हाँ, मैंने तो सारे घंटे 1 घंटा उसी में बिताया था, तो फिर भी अभी आपके लिए बोला
या वो एक्चुअली थोड़ा सा कंफ्यूजन हो गया है, एक बार समरी हो जाएगा तो लिंक हो जाएगा कि इस दर्शना में ये था, इस दर्शना में ये था.
ठीक है, बताएंगे, 5 मिनट में बताएंगे आपके लिए. तो फर्स्ट इज सांख्य दर्शना. Sankhya is given by Kapil Muni, and it deals with only Prakriti and Purusha, 2 entities. I give a simple model of Prakriti Purusha, and Dukkha comes because of merger of Prakriti and Purusha. So when the Purusha becomes separated and realizes that he is independent of Prakriti, then he is free. He is got moksha. This is Sankhya Darshana. Now Yoga Darshana is based on Sankhya Darshana. It accepts Prakriti and Purusha, but also brought in the role of mics. Mute your mic. Mute mics. A lot of noise is coming.
I think Pallavi, you mute your mic. Okay.
I have muted.
So now the Yoga Darshana is aiming at the nature of mind, how to calm the mind, and when the mind is calm, how the self can be experienced as free and liberated. And the entire process of yoga, we'll cover deep Yoga Darshana tomorrow. And third is Nyaya Darshana, which is logic proof, different types of proof, physical observation, inference, referential knowledge, and example, and so on. And Vaiseshika Darshana, which is attached to Nyaya Darshana, is logic applied to physical phenomena. It is physics, which I will cover day after tomorrow in detail. Then the Mimamsa Darshana is the framework for ritualistic karmakanda of the Vedas, very vast subject, summarized in the terms and terminology of the karmakanda. And Vedanta Darshana is the sixth, is jnana based, showing the importance of jnana as superior to karma kanda. And jnana of the universe is analyzed in terms of what is real, what is not real, and so on. And Maya, all this has been explained in the Upanishads as interpreted by Shankaracharya, and also by Brahma Sutras of Vyasa Badrayana, whom we are having here. So these are the 6 darshanas. Okay.
Okay.
Namaste,
Now,
Mahodaya.
I think
I am Rama Devi.
one more, Rama Devi. Okay.
Namaste, Mahodaya. I am Rama Devi. I want to know, you are going to teach Kriya Yoga or meditation Ashtanga Yoga, like Patanjali Yoga Sutras. Ashtanga Yoga is the concept you are going to teach. So, are you covering Kriya Yoga? Are you do you consider Mahavatar Babaji Kriya Yoga also?
No, actually, that word Kriya Yoga is like a brand name. So I'm not going to teach that particular Kriya Yoga in the 3rd month. But the word Kriya Yoga is used in Patanjali. Tapaswadhyaya Kriya Yoga, he has defined. I will cover Patanjali tomorrow. And in the 1-month course, I will cover Ashtanga Yoga. I will cover my own guru's lineage of Hatha Yoga and Raja Yoga. I'm not going to cover the Lahiri Mahashaya's Kriya Yoga. I don't belong to that school. I belong to a different school. I belong to Bihar school. I belong to Devendra school. I belong to Dhuniwala school. So whatever schools I belong to, I will cover that.
Fine, Mahodaya. Dhanyavad.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you for the time you have given for question answer sessions. We are highly benefited by this session. Now we will have Prarthana and Janganamana. Vishalakshi ji, could you start this Prarthana, please?
ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यसेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धस्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्योरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः सर्वेषां स्वस्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः स्वस्ति.
Dhanyavadaः Vishalakshmi Mahodaya. Now we will have Janaganamana. I request all of you to stand up and also sing, but you will be muted so that it is not interfering with our CC Babu Garu's voice. So please start.
जन मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता। पंजाब सिंधु गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा। विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उज्ज्वल जलधि तरंगा। तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे। गाहे तव जय गाथा। जन गण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता। जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे। जय हिंद।